Now, let us discuss about type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, as we discussed that in type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, the antigens are free whereas antibodies are fixed. Now, in type 2 hypersensitivity, the antigens are fixed whereas antibodies are free. Now, in type 3 hypersensitivity reactions, the antigens are free, antibodies are also free. In type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, the antigens are free whereas antibodies also free. Now, the antigens which are present in this type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, they may be two types. One is antibodies, there may be exogenous or they may be endogenous. The antigens which are involving in type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, that is, antigens may be two types. One is exogenous form, other one is endogenous form. Now, the exogenous form may be because of bacteria, or it may be because of virus, or it may be because of fungi, etc., any microbes. So this is because of exogenous bacteria. Now, these type 3 hypersensitivity reactions are categorized into two forms. One is, it is basically categorized into two forms. One is generalized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Generalized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. While the other one is localized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Type 3 hypersensitivity reactions are classified into two forms. One is generalized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions, while the other one is localized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, these generalized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions are also called serum sickness. Is also called serum sickness. It's also called serum sickness. Whereas these localized type 3 hypersensitivity reactions are also called Arthus hypersensitivity reactions. Arthus hypersensitivity reactions. These are some basics of type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. These are classified into two forms. One is generalized form and another one is localized form. Generalized form is also called serum sickness, whereas localized form is also called Arthus reactions. Now let us discuss about the serum sickness. In serum sickness, let us consider this is our circulation. Let us consider this is our body circulations, and here these are the immune headquarters, and Let us consider this is our bone marrow house. Now, in bone marrow house, we know that the precursor cells, these are the precursor stem cells. They will classify into two forms. One is myeloid form and other one is lymphoid form. This is lymphoid form and other one is myeloid form. Now, these myeloid forms and lymphoid forms of cells will get further classified. Now, these myeloid forms will forms RBCs and it also forms WBCs and it also forms platelets. These myeloid cells will result in formation of RBC, WBC and platelets. Now, let us consider this is one precursor cell. Now, these immune headquarters of our body will release special type of cells or special type of proteins that are called autoreactive T cells. These are called autoreactive T cells, which are released from the immune headquarters. Now, these autoreactive T cells will get binded to these myeloid cells and lymphoid cells, and they will damage these lymphoid cells and myeloid cells. It will damage here. So, if they damage these lymphoid cells and myeloid cells, then there will be decreased production of RBC, there will be decreased production of WBC, there will be decreased production of platelets. Now, whenever the RBC count and WBC count and platelets count are decreased, then whenever RBC count is decreased, then it results in anemia. Whenever WBC platelet count is decreased, then it results in leukocytopenia. Whenever the platelet count is decreased, then it results in thrombocytopenia. So, whenever a person is suffering from anemia, leukocytopenia and thrombocytopenia, collectively these three together are called pancytopenia. This is a characteristic feature of serum sickness. It's a characteristic feature of serum sickness. Now, in order to decrease this pancytopenia or anemia or leukocytopenia, now let us consider an animal like this. Let us consider this is a horse. Now, these autoreactive T cells are injected into this. Autoreactive T cells are injected into this horse. Now, this horse will release special type of antibodies. So, these T cells are again foreign bodies to this horse. So, whenever these T cells are injected into this, it releases special type of antibodies. It will release a special type of antibodies. And it will enter into, now this special type of antibodies is called anti-T globulins. ATGs. It is also called ATGs. Anti-T globulins. Anti-T globulins. Now these ATGs are injected again. Now these ATGs are injected into our human circulation. Now these ATGs are foreign particles to our bodies. Now these ATGs which are given to our body, it will reach the circulation and it will attack here. It will attack these autoreactive T cells. Now whenever these ATGs, that is anti-T globulins, these are ATGs, whenever these ATGs are reached towards this autoreactive T cells, it will bind with the autoreactive T cells and it will damage the autoreactive T cells. It will get damaged. It will get damaged. So whenever the autoreactive T cells are damaged, then they do not bind with this pre-stem cells, that are lymphoid cells and myeloid cells. Then there is no decrease of RBC, and ultimately whenever these autoreactive T cells are damaged, then it will be increase in production of RBC, increase in production of WBC, and increase in production of platelets. So there will be no condition like anemia, there is no condition like leukocytopenia, then there will be no condition like thrombocytopenia. So this is normal procedure which is take place in serum sickness. This is a treatment which can be given to the serum sickness. Now after 1 week to 10 days, that is this condition number 1, this is case number 1. In case number 2, after 10 days, let us consider case 2. In case 2, after 10 days, whenever the anti-T globulins which are injected into the human beings, which are taken up from the horse, these are the foreign materials to our body. Now these anti-T antigens will reach the immune headquarters. Now it activates the T helper cells and it activates the B lymphocytes, and it differentiates into memory cells and also differentiate into plasma cells. Now these plasma cells will secrete special type of proteins which are called antibodies. Now these antibodies will be entered into this bloodstream. So these antibodies are called, these blue color antibodies are called anti-ATGs. Anti-ATGs, which are produced against to these ATGs. Now there will be formation of immune complexes. There will be formation of the immune complexes. Antibodies will get attached here. In this way, the immune complexes will be formed. So whenever these immune complexes will be formed, it gives signals to the neutrophils. Now the neutrophils will get coming in this area. Neutrophils will come to this area. With the help of protein kinase, it will digest this immune complexes. Now this is a treatment for this immune complexes with the help of neutrophils. But in case of failures of these neutrophils or lack of neutrophils, a person will undergoes or he may experience fever or leg pains or he may also experience glomerular nephritis. In these cases, the neutrophil count will get decreased. So whenever the neutrophil count will get decreases, the antigen antibody reactions will get the antigen antibody complexes will be embedded in the tissues. Here let us consider this is the antigen antibody complexes which is attached to this basement membrane. Is attached to the basement membrane. So whenever it is attached to the basement membrane, there will be first condition, that is it involves in vasodilation. It involves in inflammation process. Then first condition, that is vasodilation. Whenever the vasodilation is taking place, the amount of the blood which is coming towards this area will get increased. Blood flow towards this area will get increased. Whenever it get increased, then white blood cells will get attached here. White blood cells will get attached here. Then there will be, with the help of prostaglandins or chemical mediators, there will be endothelial gaps will be generated. Whenever the endothelial gaps are generated, then the permeability will get increased. Permeability will get increased. So the proteinaceous fluid will get decreased, will be leaking outside. The non-proteinaceous fluid only will get stuck here. So only the non-proteinaceous part will get assembled here. After assembling, then the neutrophils will get attached coming here. The leftover part will get digested by the neutrophils. If in case of failure of this mechanism, that is serum sickness, then it results in condition called fibrinoid necrosis. Condition called fibrinoid necrosis. This is about serum sickness. And in type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, the another type is called Arthus reactions. That Arthus reactions are also called Farmer's lungs. It is also called Farmer's lungs. Now, it is also called Farmer's lungs. Now, the entire process of the Arthus reactions is nothing but this entire process will be taking place in only the pulmonary circulations. It is confined with only pulmonary circulations. It is confined with only pulmonary circulations. So this is about type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Whereas person experiences the fever, leg pains, glomerular nephritis and pericardial pains. Pericardial pains, etc. It results in fibrinoid necrosis. This is about type 3 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, next one is type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, let us discuss about type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Type 4 hypersensitivity reactions, it is cell-mediated hypersensitivity reactions. Cell-mediated hypersensitivity reactions. cell-mediated hypersensitivity is called type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, the characteristic feature of type 4 hypersensitivity reactions is formation of granulomas. Formation of granuloma. There will be formation of granuloma in type 4 hypersensitivity reactions. Now, these type 4 hypersensitivity reactions are classified into two forms. Internally, it is classified into two forms. One is delayed hypersensitivity reactions. Hypersensitivity reactions. Delayed hypersensitivity reactions. Now, the next one is T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity. These are the two categories which are studied under type 4 hypersensitivity reactions, that is delayed hypersensitivity reactions and T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions. Now, let us discuss about delayed hypersensitivity reactions. Let us consider these are our lungs. Inside our lungs, if any TB antigen is present in our lungs, let us consider this is one TB antigen. Now, this TB antigen will activate the macrophages, whereas same process will be taking place. It will activate the macrophages and it will activate the chromosome number 6. It will activate the chromosome number 6. It forms, these are the genetic material which is present in the chromosome number 6. So, it undergoes transcription and translation process. It forms red color proteins. These are the red color proteins. Now, these red color proteins are also called MHC class 2 proteins. These MHC class 2 proteins. And these MHC class 2 proteins will also contain the TB antigen. This is TB antigen. Now, these also called antigen presenting cell. It is exposed to the T helper cells. It is exposed to the T helper cells. If this is a T helper cell, it consists of T cell receptors, and other one is CD4 markers. This is CD4 and this is TCR, that is T cell receptors. Now, when your T cell receptors will get binded with the TB antigen, whereas CD4 will get binded to the MHC class 2 proteins, then it will activate the genetic material. Here it is a genetic material. Now, when T helper cells is attached to with the antigen presenting cell, then internal signals will get activated. These internal signals are called CD3 markers. These are CD4 markers and these are CD3 markers. Now, it will activate the special gene. Whenever special gene is activated, then it forms special protein, that is interleukin 4. Interleukin 4 will get activated. Now, this interleukin 4 will activate special type of protein and it will form special protein which will be stuck at the surface of this surface membrane of T helper cells. Now, whenever it will be stuck here, then interleukin 4 will get attached here. It will be filled with interleukin 4. Whenever it is filled with interleukin 4, then it will activate another set of genes which results in activation of genes of mitosis. Then it results in increase in number. Mitosis will be taking place. It will be increasing in number. it will be increasing in number. Now it, after increasing, then these cells will be entering into this circulation. It will be entering into the circulation. This is a circulation. Inside the circulation. Now, after entering into the circulation, it releases special type of protein, that is this is the T cells, which consist of T cell receptors and CD4 markers, and it releases the special type of protein, that is tumor necrotic factor. It releases the tumor necrotic factor. Now, after the tumor necrotic factor, when this tumor necrotic factor is present, attached, means this is the first part. Whenever the TB antigen again enter into our body, then it will activate the tumor necrotic factor. Whenever the tumor necrotic factor is activated, then it again will enter into the circulation. It will enter into the circulations. It will enter into the circulations. Now, after entering into the circulation, these lymphoid cells will get converted into myeloid cells. This is myeloid cell. This is a difference between the lymphoid cell and myeloid cell. Now this myeloid cell is accumulated in the circulations. Now let us consider this is one myeloid cell, and it is surrounded by the lymphocytes. Will be surrounded by the lymphocytes, and is also surrounded by the natural killer cells. And it is more laterally surrounded by the large sized lymphocytes. So this structure is called granuloma. This structure is called granuloma. Then after formation of the granuloma, it undergoes inflammation process. The formation of granuloma is the characteristic feature of T4 type 4 hypersensitivity reaction, that is delayed type of hypersensitivity reactions. After forming this granuloma, neutrophil will get attached here. Neutrophil will be coming here. It undergoes inflammation process. With the help of inflammation process, this granuloma will get digested here. So this is a type 4 hypersensitivity reaction, that is delayed type of hypersensitivity reactions. Now next let us discuss about another type of type 4 hypersensitivity reactions, that is T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions. T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions. T cytotoxic cell mediated T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions. Now let us consider this is one normal cell. Inside it consists of TB antigen this is virally infected cell, that is TB antigen. Now this TB antigen will get exposed on surface. It will get exposed on surface. Will expose to the surface. Before exposing to the surface, now it will activate the macrophages. It will activate the macrophages. Now in macrophages, it consists of this TB antigen. Let us consider this is the TB antigen. Now inside the macrophage, this is genetic material. It consists of, let us consider these are two set of chromosomes. This is chromosome number 6 and this is chromosome number 15. This is chromosome number 6, this is chromosome number 16. So whenever the chromosome number 6 is activated, then these are the genes which are present. It undergoes transcription and translation process. Then it forms red color substance. These red color substances are also called MHC class 2 molecules. MHC class 2 molecules. This is the functioning of chromosome number 6. So whenever the chromosome number 6 is activated, it forms MHC class 2 proteins. So whenever the chromosome number 15 is activated, then it forms special type of globulins on surface of these macrophages. These special type of globulins are called beta microglobulins, beta 2 microglobulins. Beta 2 microglobulins along with MHC class 2 molecules are activated, and it also consists of these antigens, that is TB antigens. Now whenever it is, now this entire cell is called antigen presenting cell. Now it is attracted towards the T helper cells. Let us consider this is one T helper cell. On surface it consists of T cell receptors, and it also consists of CD4 markers which are binding the MHC class 2 proteins. So whenever it is activated, it sends the internal signals. It will send the internal signals toward the nucleus. Now whenever the nucleus of this T helper cells is activated, then it releases the special, it consists of special proteins that we call, these are the special kind of proteins which are present inside the T helper cells. Now these special type of proteins will be moving out of the T helper cells and will be moving towards the virally infected cell. They will move towards the virally infected cell and they will settle at the membrane of T helper cell. They will settle at the membrane of T helper cells. They will settle at the membrane of T helper cells. So these special proteins are called perforins. These are called perforins, which makes the porins at the surface of this membrane. Now after making the perforins, there are special granules which are present in the T helper cells. These are the special granules which are present in the T helper cells. Now these granules will also move with the help of these perforins. They will move into these virally infected cells. Now with the help of these granzymes, they will digest this antigen. So it results in damaging of this antigen. So this is called T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions. These type 4 hypersensitivity reactions are classified into two forms. One is T cytotoxic cell and other one is delayed hypersensitivity reactions. This is about T cytotoxic cell mediated hypersensitivity reactions.